Alassane Ouattara has just excluded the true sons of Côte d'Ivoire. The exclusion of Laurent Gbagbo, Guillaume Soro, and Blé Goudé from the electoral list is the most arrogant and absolute expression of Alassane Ouattara's contempt for democracy. An arrogance that will cost him dearly. Here is a man who, for 20 years, cried out against injustice, claiming to be a victim of electoral exclusion because of his origins and religion. He declared that, because he was from northern Côte d'Ivoire and a Muslim, he was denied the right to run for the highest office. But, in an ironic twist of fate, it was Laurent Gbagbo, displaying the magnanimity of a true son of Côte d'Ivoire, who exceptionally allowed Ouattara to be a candidate. In accordance with the letter from the South African mediator, candidates nominated by the political parties that signed the Marcoussis Agreement are eligible. Consequently, Mr. Alassane Ouattara may, if he so wishes, present his candidacy in the presidential election of October 2005. And how did he thank the Ivorian people? By seizing power with the help of the French colonial army, and systematically sidelining the true sons of the Ivorian nation, those whose nationality has never been questioned. Laurent Gbagbo, Guillaume Soro, and Blé Goudé. A fraud who thrives only through deception. Alassane Ouattara has never fought for democracy. He has fought for power, and today, he rules as an absolute monarch. He cries out against exclusion when it suits him but ruthlessly eliminates his most formidable opponents. He is not a democrat. He is a usurper who survives only through force and repression. His strategy is simple. Neutralize any political alternative, eliminate all competition, and establish a reign of terror. He does not want an election. He wants an electoral charade where he alone controls the game, dictating who can or cannot be a candidate. Here is a fraud whose political survival depends on the absence of adversaries. In 2020, he violated the constitution to run against KKB, a puppet candidate incapable of winning a neighborhood election. Now, in 2025, he is ready to repeat the same fraud. But this time, the Ivorian people will not stand idly by. They will make him pay. Total control over institutions. In Côte d'Ivoire, there are no longer any independent institutions, only instruments serving one man. The so-called Independent Electoral Commission, CEI, is independent in name only. The Constitutional Council has become nothing more than a rubber stamp for the regime. When Alassane Ouattara wants to eliminate an opponent, he does not need a democratic verdict. A decree, a controlled commission, or a judge under orders is enough. This is no longer a republic. It is an electoral dictatorship. A regime trembling before its own corruption. The Ivorian people are not fooled. They know that this maneuver has no legal basis, only the fear of a man facing his own corruption. Why would a man who is confident in himself and his record need to eliminate his opponents before the election even takes place? Because Ouattara knows he can no longer win a transparent election. He knows that if Laurent Gbagbo, Guillaume Soro, and Blé Goudé are on the ballot, he is politically finished.
We're asking you to assess your 15 years of governance, and you're threatening people. All the promises that were made were meant to last 5 years. You've had 10 more years. What have you actually done for the Ivorians? You're going off on a tangent, you're threatening. Politics isn't for the weak-minded, so if you know you don't have the heart, shut your mouths and sit down and drink the porridge in peace. Don't give your voice to poverty and corruption. What stage are we at today? That's what it's about, rather than threatening people. Explain to us with supporting evidence and arguments, that's all we're asking you. When the RHDP came to power, how much did a kilo of food cost? How much are we at today? A kilo of rice that cost between 250 and 300 CFA francs in 2010, today we are at 1,000 CFA francs per kilo of rice. That is what we are talking about. The record of social housing that Ivorians had to pay 25,000 CFA francs per month, how many Ivorians have obtained this social housing? I would even say, which Ivorian has received social housing worth 5 million? Show us. Didn't President Alassane Ouattara criticize Laurent Gbagbo's power in 2010? When he was campaigning, didn't he criticize Laurent Gbagbo's power? When it's your turn, it hurts. That's what pinches you even though it hasn't even started yet. Your unassailable record is open to attack on all levels. A question will be asked of all Ivorians, after this record that we all see, do they deserve 5 more years? If you are sure that you have done a good job, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of to threaten people with imprisonment? They simply spoke. When the RHDP government came to power, the people were neither mute nor blind, much less deaf. What we heard, if not what we see, our mouths will speak. And then, there is nothing after. There is nothing after. All those who have just threatened me privately and in the comments, to send me to join the activist Macron Premier, I tell you, you scare no one. You can create nothing. You can do nothing. Nothing today, nothing tomorrow, nothing the day after tomorrow. You scare no one, not even a fly.
A total failure on all fronts. Since he forcibly took power in 2011, what has Alassane Ouattara done for the Ivorian people? An economy sold off to foreign multinationals. A crushing debt that suffocates future generations. A sacrificed youth, with no jobs and no future. Rising insecurity, with prisons filled with political opponents. And now, he dares to believe he can once again silence the people in 2025. He is gravely mistaken. The people's ultimatum, enough is enough. The Ivorian people have suffered too much already. They will no longer tolerate yet another electoral hold-up. If the despot Ouattara believes that his army, his judges, and his repression will allow him to hold on to power once again, then he has learned nothing from history. No regime, no matter how authoritarian, can keep a people in chains forever. Anger is rising, resistance is forming, and this time, it is he who will fall. What is it? What is it? We're tired. If we have to die today the way our parents died for independence in Côte d'Ivoire, then we're going to die today to liberate our country. Shit. Dramane Ouattara, you're annoying us. Chris Yapi does not lie. Find Chris Yapi on his 2 YouTube channels, his Rumble channel, his TikTok, X, Instagram, VK and Threads accounts.